Okay, so we are recording. We are live. So once again, thank you for coming. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. I'm Ben Worms. I'm a licensed real estate agent with Coldwell Banker. This past year in 2022, I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to win the Rookie of the Year. Shout out to all my clients who helped make that possible. Before I got into real estate, I actually got my bachelor's degree in finance from the University of Dayton. But enough about me. What's the purpose of today? I truly want to educate everyone on the journey of what buying real estate looks like. So you feel confident while you're doing it. And then honestly, you are truly prepared when it's time to get that offer written up. So I think having these classes and having an open Q&A with clients is truly, truly important, and working as an A team and being full experience. So what does the full experience in real estate look like? First and foremost, it's an open consultation, understanding what your needs are, setting up a good property search and seeing open properties that are going to meet your needs, making sure that you have a confident agent that can prepare a contract, negotiate that contract, and then ultimately get that to the closing table. But with me, and what I truly believe sets good real estate agents apart, is being that advisor for life, knowing that after you close on your property, you are going to have an agent that can help you with any of your questions. And just like insurance bottles their services, we do the same. This is to ensure that all the resources are right at your fingertips to purchase. Make sure you get a mortgage, make sure you get insurance, make sure you get that home warranty and all that title work. So I do want to thank Justin Tomaselli for coming out to the office today and being here and being a part of this. So I'm going to bring him onto the screen, talk about a little bit about what he does and what he offers, and see if Goosehead might be able to help anyone out. So with further ado, here's Justin Tomaselli.
Yeah, so hey, thanks Ben for having me out here. Essentially, I mean, just kind of the way that me and Ben started working together is realizing that putting insurance and what we do with Goosehead, being an independent brokerage, right, we're just able to give that full-on experience that Ben's looking for, right, that everyone should have. With being an independent brokerage, we shop the market about 95% of the carriers. So instead of your standard legwork, where you might go to Allstate, you might go to Progressive or State Farm, you call your one agent, right? You've got your Ben Worms who puts you over here and calls me, and we've got all of those at our fingertips, right? So what could be a month-long search turns into a 1-hour phone call, and you don't have to think about it again because you've got someone in the back end that takes care of you down the road. And like Ben said, right, advisor for life. We're looking to make sure that policy is always going to be the best position for you and make sure that you're staying in the best position, whatever carrier we put you with. So a big part of that is just making sure you're educated, right? Following along that same kind of value of, we want to make sure you know what you're doing. You're new to this, you're buying your first home or you're buying your 45th home, right? There's always something different depending on the home. And we just want to make sure that we're able to teach you what you need, what you might need, or what you might be interested in as well. With that, I mean, specific question wise, there's always a million, but I'll put this back over to Ben and answer some questions as things come up.
So thank you, Justin, for coming on board today. That was really, really cool. Second of all, I wanted to talk about DreamX Homes, my app that I've developed. The reason that I developed this is because I truly believe that you need to work hand in hand with your agent. You need to receive properties directly from your agent. You need to be able to get educated from your agent independently from outside resources. So making sure that you have that true connection with one another, I find extremely important, and I want that connection with all my clients. And then like Justin was saying, and like I've really been stressing, I truly want to be an advisor after the purchase. 87% of real estate agents will never contact you again after they sell you that home. You have my personal cell phone number. It's right there. So after closing, I'm here for you for the rest of your life. What I've been doing this past week for all my clients, those boring closing statements that all of the accountants are going to want, after you've purchased that house, you've probably lost it at this point. So I've been getting those mailed out, make sure everyone's ready for accounting season. And then if there's any questions that people may have, like I said, you've got my personal cell phone number. I'm a licensed real estate agent and I'm looking to help. So a little bit about understanding your budget. I'm a real estate guy. I will help with anything real estate wise, but I think it's truly important to have a good lender at your disposal that can be able to answer questions for you. So that's why I brought on Taylor Pegg. He's with Prime Lending. The guy is absolutely immaculate at his job, and I want to bring him on to talk about what understanding your budget looks like, why it's important, and how it affects your purchase. So, Taylor, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Well, thank you for those kind words, Ben. It's really important to talk to your lender on understanding what you have in mind for your budget. So if you think that like, hey, I have a budget of $1,500 a month, we'll let you know if that is actually like capable of doing that, or if you can go higher. What's nice is that us lenders will not let you go over 45% of your debt to income ratio. Now, there are scenarios where we can go like slightly above that, up to like 50%, but that's in some rare circumstances, we can push that debt to income ratio. It's usually when you're putting down a larger deposit or down payment on your home. But make sure that you're also like, when you like go to buy a house, that you are actually like understanding what your monthly payment is going to be for that house. There's been a lot of times where I've saved some deals from other lenders because they didn't inform them of what they're actually getting into before that house that they're getting ready to buy. A lot of mistakes that happen, or people are like get kind of like payment shocked, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I was going to be spending $2,000 a month on this house when they were expecting to have a budget of $1,500. So that's what you want to make sure that you are getting out of your lenders, that they're actually going to be providing you an estimate before you actually write a contract. So you are happy with what's going on, your estimated cash at close, and your estimated monthly payment. And you can also see the interest rate at that time. So that's one thing, or those are a few things that I have for you at this like point in time. There are a bunch of down payment assistance programs out there for the first-time home buyers. There are programs for first-time home buyers that don't necessarily need the down payment assistance. So don't be scared to ask questions or even ask them about those programs, because we have a lot of those out there for you guys.
Absolutely. Taylor, real quick, can
Yeah.
you just talk about what it means to be home broke?
Home broke. Oh yeah, being house poor. So there are times where like I always send out my buyers like max buying power. That doesn't mean you have to go all the way up to your max buying power, which they say like, hey, like you can afford up to 900,000. Doesn't mean you have to go up to 900,000. So that's where like we will kind of like, we're taking every single penny that you have every single month, and also for your down payment, we're taking every single penny out of your bank account just to get this house done. I've done that before. It's as long as it's like within like their means, like the government's guidelines, the person has been house poor before, but it's not something that like I can restrict someone from doing. They're all like their personal choice.
And as a
Yeah.
first-time home buyer, I know there's like you were saying, a bunch of different grant programs, loan programs. Can you kind of specify what those loan types are and what sort of parties are going to be involved with each loan?
Yeah. So there's a lot of when it comes to those loan programs, you can go through any kind of like type of loan. So you have FHA, conventional, USDA, VA, you have all of those, but some of the programs will only be conventional, which means that they'll give you a 5% grant, which is nice, but those 5% grants, which is based off of the loan amount. So if you have a $100,000 loan, that's going to means you're going to receive a $5,000 grant. Now, obviously, the higher the purchase price or loan amount, you're going to get a larger grant. So that does sometimes take care of almost all of the down payment plus closing costs, but that's not always the case. But yeah, they're mostly just your traditional loans. It's very rare that you'll actually find a program that does not fit one of the standard loans that are supported by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
That's really cool. And then with different like grant programs and different loans, does that affect your time to close?
Nope. Typically, they can close within 30 days. It's a great question because sometimes people think that like because one loan is an FHA, it's going to take longer to close. I mean, right now, if you have your stuff together, you can close a loan within 15 days, maybe even sooner. But depending on the down payment assistance program, I would just shoot for 30 days each time.
Okay. Now, I know it's extremely important to get all of the documents to your lender in a timely fashion so we can get those loans closed. What sort of
Yes.
documents are my first time home buyers going to need?
So they're gonna want their 30-day pay stubs, which means sometimes it's typically one or two. So if they get paid bi-weekly, they're gonna want to go give us their 2 pay stubs, then their 2 months bank statements. This means their actual like bank statement, not the transaction history for the past 2 months. There's a lot of times where people will give us like 2 months worth of transactions, and I don't need that. I need the actual individual bank statement. So when it says May or like December and January, I need the actual transactions that happen in December and in January. It gives me like what's in the balance and all that fun stuff. So sometimes people just send me the transaction history. Don't want that. When it comes to also like other income, I need their W-2. So I need the past 2 years of W-2s. I need 2021 and 2020 or 2022 W-2s to get them pre-approved. And if they have any rentals or have any self-employment income, I need their past 2 years tax returns.
Sweet. And I know,
That's just
like you were saying, different loans, different packages, different programs. Ultimately, that's going to change how much cash you need to close, right?
right. Yeah. So there's a lot of misconceptions out there that people need 20% down, and that's not the case.
Okay. What would you say like a typical home buyer should expect to bring to the closing table?
Like total cash to close, or just like percentage wise?
Percentage wise, what it typically runs.
I would expect them to want to try and save up 5% and for the down payment, and that's including an extra, like I would say an extra like $5,000 on top of that, just because you still have to account for your closing costs, prepaids, and all the additional charges that go on with that. So you have your earnest money, you have your inspections and stuff like that. So make sure you have an additional funds on top of your down payment that you think you saved, because there are additional fees that go with that stuff.
Totally. And like Taylor was saying, I will always highly recommend getting an inspection, no matter what property that you're taking a look at. Evidently, I'm your real estate guy. Taylor's your money guy. He's your finance guy. We need a third party guy that's licensed to come out to that property, ultimately make sure that that property is going to meet your needs. So you know actually what you are buying, you know all the flaws that are coming with it. So that's why I like to invite a third party inspector to come out, and then that gives us the power to negotiate as well. And then Taylor, if you could talk about a little bit on the appraisal process and what that means when you have a loan.
Yeah, so as soon as I get an accepted contract, I'm ordering the appraisal. And because I don't want to miss any time on potentially like you getting back that appraisal. Usually it takes about a week to get the appraisal back. So what that means is that we have an independent contractor going out there, deciding on the value of the property, and they let the bank know. It's like, hey, we think this house is worth $250,000. Contract is at $249,000. So that's where it kind of comes into play. That helps us like secure like that value of that property or that asset to make sure that it's worth it that they're buying. Now, there has been times where like the appraisal has come in short. What that means is that now like the appraisal came in at 250,000 and there's a contract for 260,000. So sometimes we have to send it back to negotiating, or if they already knew that this is potentially going to come into like the appraisal is going to come in short, there is called an appraisal gap. So that person, the buyer, already is aware of that they have to bring an additional $10,000 to closing. The bank is also aware of that, and so we just keep chugging along. But there are times where we do have to send it back to getting negotiated if it comes in short.
Fantastic. And Taylor, I just wanted to truly thank you for your time today. I appreciate you being here. If
No
you
problem.
could, can you do me a huge favor and drop your phone number and your email into the chat?
I sure can.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
So I kind of wanted to go over what the real estate process looks like and how we go about finding that first house. First and foremost, I think it's very important to understand that we need to get our priorities straight. First and foremost, we need to go over there and see Taylor, see what we can accept financially, because we don't want to see a house that's outside of your budget while we're house hunting. Ultimately, making an offer when we find that right house, like we were touching on earlier. Of course, we're going to recommend you get that inspection and the appraisal. And then ultimately, you're going to close on that property with Taylor and I. and then you move in, and then you'll have that real estate advisor for life. And once again, if you have questions about what your loan looks like or what the process may look like if you were to ever sell this house, Taylor will be a resource right away for you as well. And then ultimately, you want to eliminate the distractions. You're going to want to find the right home for you. So I think it's super important that we have an upfront conversation. We have that consultation, because if you can give me 30 to 45 minutes of your time on the front end, I promise you I'm going to be able to save you money, time, and effort while we house hunt. So not all properties are we going to need to go out and see. Some we're simply just going to look at online. Some we're going to drive by. And ultimately, some we're going to end up making an appointment to go and visit. So if the property looks right on the internet, we're curious on the neighborhood, I always recommend jumping on Google Earth, taking a look at the neighborhood. If it kind of checks out, then great, let's go ahead, drive past it. And then ultimately we can make that decision of should we book an appointment to go visit this property. So I think it's really important to prioritize and eliminate those distractions while you're in process trying to find that house. And ultimately finding the right house. And how do we find it? Where does it come from? First and foremost, evidently you. I work with a ton of first-time home buyers and a lot of different clients, whether it's an investor, whether it's a first-time home buyer, whether it's someone moving into their next house. You know what you want. So feel free to send me any properties that you are seeing on the market. I think it's very important that we work as that A team. So if you see something, let me know. I'll take a look at it. I work with new construction builders. So if you're looking to build something in the area, whether that be in Cincinnati all the way to Troy, we can get you connected with some of the new construction people and get that home either built for you, take a look at a spec home, whatever it is. And then those little red signs, those little for sale by owners, I'm sure you typically see them on cars. You might be driving and you might see one in a yard occasionally. Only about 10% of people sell their home that way. But a FSBO, that stands for sale by owner. I've never met a for sale by owner that will not work with me. So if there's a property that you want to go out and take a look at and you see that little for sale by owner sign, that's a-okay. I'm happy to get it set up for you. And if the for sale by owner, if the owner of that property does not want to work with a real estate agent, then I have no issues with that. Feel free to go get that property. I want you to get the property that's right for you. And as a licensed real estate agent, you get access to what's called the MLS, or long-term multiple listing service. This is the most up-to-date service on what the real estate industry is offering. So what we really do is we compile the list that you bring, any homes that you see that might work for you. We add in those new constructions. We add in the for sale by owners. We add in the MLS listings. And from that consultation, figuring out what your needs look like and what the criteria of that property is, we're going to shove them all in a funnel. And we start with thousands of properties. We eliminate it to hundreds. We finally get down to 10. And I always say, let's pick the top 3 properties to go out and take a look at. If we can nail it down to a top 3 before we go out, then it really makes the appointment worth it. Are these homes actually meeting your needs? Are they meeting the criteria that we've spoke about? Simply, did it make it through the funnel? Did it meet your criteria? So now I just kind of want to open it up to anyone that may have some questions. Open it up for some Q&A. If anyone has comments, questions, concerns, I'd love to hear them. I'd love to be a part of them.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I have a question for Taylor.
Yeah.
You said that the 20% down is kind of a misconception.
Yeah.
What other options are there other than the 20% down?
You can put down as little as 3% if you qualify for that program. There are ways of us to be able to eliminate the monthly PMI without having to put down 20%. So if you wanted to do 10% down, we can eliminate the monthly PMI by either you paying a lump sum up front or financing into the loan. And that tends to be a little bit more cost effective for buyers.
Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah. But there are questions that I do like ask the buyer before I do that scenario for them. I ask them how much or how long they're going to be in the house for. If they're planning on only staying there for a couple of years, not worth it. A lot of like sometimes like military members will do that if they're not going to use their VA loan. So it's better off just to go monthly, because if you're going to be paying monthly, you're going to be saving yourself money if that's the case.
And then Taylor, can you kind of go into what PMI is?
Yeah. PMI is private mortgage insurance, so it has nothing to do with home insurance. It actually is a separate company that is that we kind of like we shop all the best rates to make sure you're getting the best possible private mortgage insurance rates, and they are the ones that insure the bank to make sure that if in case that buyer does default on their mortgage, that they're not going to be hit with a massive loss in their books, that they only take a small hit in that scenario.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't really have a question, but the home broke scenario thing made a lot of sense to me. So
good.
I guess I do have a question. What is the proper, or what do you try to be at? You said 45% is kind of the max, but
Yeah.
what's like the sweet spot? 30%, 25?
Yeah, I'd say 25 to 30% is kind of like, it allows for you to have like that money that you can still take home and also be able to make any kind of additional repairs and also live your life. There's been a lot of times where I've seen people like I said in just a few minutes ago, that where I've seen where I'm taking every single penny from them every single month that's from their gross income. So if you make, say, simple math, like they make $10,000 a month gross, that means that's before taxes. So that means I'm taking almost every single penny from them every single month. So they have to live off of credit cards, basically, if that's the case.
Wow.
And that's not good.
No.
Yeah. Good question.
Thank you.
Taylor, can
Mhm.
you talk a little bit about what goes into getting pre-approved? Credit
Yeah.
scores and that kind of thing?
Yep. Minimum credit score to get a mortgage is 580. So that is for an FHA loan. They do say a minimum credit score for conventional is a 620. But if that's the case, it's going to be really hard to get you pre-approved if you're not putting more than 20% down in that scenario, because PMI companies will not insure that buyer when they are below like 680. But to get pre-approved, I just need like the documents that I talked about, like the pay stubs, bank statements, W-2s, and potentially your tax returns. That stuff, I will analyze that information, make sure that you are working at the full 40 hours per week. If you are working overtime, I have to account for 2 years average income for that. And then if you are commission income, I have to get 2 years average as well. But I will analyze all that information. Same thing with bank statements. I analyze your bank statements to make sure that there are no large deposits. So if you are putting like cash in your bank account, like say large deposits of cash, I can't use those. I have to see that those have seasoned in your bank account for 2 bank statement cycles, so 60 days. And then if you have any other large deposits, say you had like hypothetically $20,000 transferred over to your bank account for this purchase of a house. Well, I now have to see where that money came from. So I have to see that bank statement of XYZ bank that was transferred the 20 grand into there. So that's how I get the people pre-approved. So, oh, and then also another like misconception that there's out there is that you have to be at your job for 2 full years in order to get pre-approved. As long as you're within like the same like status of your job, so you're not going from like truck driver to a nurse. So as long as you're staying within that same industry, you should be in good shape.
And
Thank you,
Taylor, I
Taylor.
know you're getting lots of questions right now, but I have one for you.
Yeah.
If you're 4 years in college and you stick within your field, can we consider that work history?
Yes, that is a great question. Yes, you can. So like say you went to school for nursing and then you get out of school and you're wanting to buy a house. You're like, hey, I had some money saved up from working like a bartending job while at school, and now I'm a full-time nurse. Then we can actually get you pre-approved with you just getting either that offer letter to be a nurse, or you've been on that job for a couple months and still get pre-approved.
Sweet, thank you.
Yeah, great
Yeah.
question.
Do we have any other questions out there? It does not seem so. So I just really, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank everyone that came out and gave some time to this tonight. I truly do appreciate it. Been talking with Taylor about it, and I'm really hoping this can be a series where we take the most popular questions, kind of evolve this Q&A session. So it's just open book, kind of like today. If someone's got a question, you feel free to jump right in. I think having a lender and having an insurance guy with Justin is just beyond valuable. And I really appreciate you guys coming out and giving some of your time today.
Thanks for the invite, Ben.
Yeah, this was cool. I definitely learned some things. This is different.
Awesome.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
No problem.
Well, all righty. I will let everyone enjoy your Thursday night. And once again, thank you for making it out.
See ya.
See you
See ya.
guys.